everyone. I think we can go ahead to get it started. Welcome to Come Lead March 2nd Friday with Wei Communications. I am Liao Zhao, the head of outreach at Come Lead. So today we're very excited to feature Wei Communications, which is one of the world's largest integrated communication and marketing agencies. And I'm happy to turn it over to Kayleigh, and she is a talent acquisition partner at Wei, and she will give us a brief overview about the company. Kayleigh, your time.
Thank you so much, Leo. Hi, everyone. Yeah, just a quick introduction into myself. My name is Kayleigh, and I am a TA partner here at We Communications. I support hiring across various different departments here at We, as well as our entire code word business. This month actually marks my 1 year anniversary at We, and it's been such a great ride so far. I've had the chance to really collaborate with so many different talented hiring managers. I've gotten to help launch our new applicant tracking system, Greenhouse, and also just really contribute to a variety of different projects within our talent acquisition function. But I did want to give a little bit background on We for those who are unfamiliar with us. So, as Liao mentioned, We Communications is one of the largest independent communications and marketing agencies in the world. We have over 1,000 employees spread across offices in North America, Europe, and Asia. We've been around for over 40 years, and we do specialize in a lot of different sectors like technology, healthcare, consumer products, brand purpose, etc. And I know one of our goals is to really work with companies that are embracing the digital world to, reinvent themselves and, connect with customers in new ways and, ultimately make a real difference in people's lives. On the other end, I know I mentioned I also do all of the talent acquisition for CodeWord, which is a communication design agency that's underneath the We umbrella. They have just under 100 employees right now, and they work with a lot of different brands that help create, breakthrough comms, content, community experiences, and they're a really like fast-moving team of writers, editors, designers. They have strategists, videographers, PR mavens, the whole gambit. And they are a remote first agency, but they do have physical offices in New York City, which is where I'm based, and then also San Francisco. But that's a little bit on We and Code Word. I'll segue into a little bit about myself as well and my background. So, prior to working at We, I was actually an executive external search recruiter for nearly 4 years, and I specialized in both the PR and advertising industries. As I kind of grew in that role, I realized that my long-term goal was to take my TA experience in-house. But I did know if I was going to make that shift and only hire for one company. I wanted it to be with a company that truly excited me. And I think ultimately I chose to join We for a number of different reasons, but some of the reasons that really stood out most were just the kindness and professionalism of everyone I met during the interview process. Also, the agency's core values really stood out to me. They really value collaboration, inclusivity, and innovation, which are all things that I value, just along with their commitment to partnering with, brands that make a real impact. And I think all of those things combined made the decision to join a very easy one, transparently. Also as just like a recruiter, you want to hire for a company that is attracting top talent and, somewhere where employees genuinely love working. So I think, hearing how highly everyone at We spoke of their experiences, really just made me want to be a part of that success. So, yeah, when I joined, it was kind of a no-brainer for me, truly. And yeah, other than that, I did want to share a little bit about my role with the business. On the We side, I support various different departments, and my focus kind of shifts just based on urgency and bandwidth. That being said, if I'm not the recruiter for a specific we role, that means my awesome colleague, who's a senior TA partner, Darcy Frentress, is. So I can also share her information with all of you. But on the code word side, I am the sole TA partner. So yeah, I'm your go-to for all of their hiring needs. That being said, I did also want to share a little bit of insight into our recruiting process with you all so you can have a glimpse into how we manage this. When you apply for a role with We, or of course, we reach out to you, we follow a skills-based, consistent process for everyone. So we really focus on bringing, seeing what candidates bring in terms of experience, skills and capabilities and potential to make sure that we're, matching the right people to the right opportunities. That said, should you apply for a position and it not be a perfect fit at that exact time, that doesn't mean that the door is closed by any means. We're always actively building talent pools, filled with great people, whether they're currently looking or just open to future opportunities. And something that I think is important about this is that it really allows us to stay in touch with passive talent or, maybe even somebody who's active, but they just might be a better fit for something down the road in comparison to what we have open at that current point in time. So, yeah, I think it's important to emphasize that our goal is to build relationships rather than to just fill jobs. Whenever I talk to somebody, I always say that I hope that this will be a long-term relationship rather than short. And yeah, I truly mean that because you never know. And that's a way that we hire people often is by reconnecting with those that, we've connected with in the past. Um, so yeah, that's just a general overview again on me and what I do and my background as well as we and the way that we run our hiring process. But I do appreciate that that was a lot of information all at once. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them. And of course, if anything comes up after this call, I can drop my email and also share my LinkedIn profile. So, please feel free to connect with me at any time.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kayleigh. I know that you will need to leave early due to other commitments, but you're welcome. For our students, you're welcome to follow up with her either on LinkedIn or via email after this event. And Kayleigh, would you like to share your LinkedIn and email via our chats so
Yes.
students can, yeah, take a look at it during our event? Thank you so much. Thanks again, Kayleigh. And also, I want to share with everyone that our partnership with We Communications has really grown over the years. Like Suna knows, like 6 years ago, she attended our first Friday with We as a hiring manager. And then 3 years ago, we hosted another session with We, and some of our students who attended the session back then are now working at We. So today they are returning as employees and to share their experiences with us. So maybe I can turn over to our panelists and let them introduce them one by one. Share with us a little bit about yourself, your role at We, and your career journey. Yeah, we can probably start with Suna. Things you just unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kayleigh, for going through and being here for this, because I know that everyone here is probably very keen to reach out to you. And I don't know if you touched on our internship programs too much, but that would actually be that's a big pathway, I think, through to We, because we have this amazing internship program that I know Kayleigh can talk more about, but it's like paid and you get such hands-on learning and people have such great experiences, and it's a really awesome. I really wish if I was doing that it was around when I was around, that would have been great. But and yeah, actually I came to a first Friday for We before I worked here. I worked here. It was actually, I think, like 8 years ago, and I was like, this seems like an awesome place, right? And it always stayed with me from the first time I went to this first Friday, and I just thought this is great. women founded, a woman CEO, but it just had the right, vibe that was just very interested in learning, very collaborative. Uh, just it was a great place. I got that vibe from the start, and I was really lucky that I was able to come on board. But so a little bit around me, my path here was I was kind of kicking around trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had been hired, had done a ton of different things, of course, in my 20s, just doing an interim job. And the company I was working for had a web team. And I was like, this seems cool. So I did a web intensive, worked for a couple other companies, ended up at Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center as a producer there for about 11 years. Moved from there to another agency, and then ended up at sort of my path digital was that way. But the only reason why I was able to kind of get from, like, I had a web intensive and I was sort of stuck there, is that about 8 years at Fred Hutch, I applied and got the job started working, started grad school at Kayleigh. And that changed my life, expanded where I could go. I was able to get a job at an agency, and now I'm the senior director, digital director here. And what I do at is I am part of the global marketing department, and what we like to say is we market, we are in charge of the agency marketing. And so I manage the websites, social, all the digital tools, metrics, and I have a team of design and digital that report into me. So ComLead was very instrumental towards getting me from sort of middle range sort of job into more of a leadership management role.
Cool.
I am right now extremely busy because we're about to launch a new website on Monday at midnight. So if I seem a little harried, that's why I'm kind of hanging on by my fingertips a little bit. But if you go to if you go to We Worldwide today, and you go to We Worldwide on Tuesday, you're going to see a completely different. We're rebranding, so it's going to be totally new.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Suna. You kind of combined the two questions together with my next question about the project that you are currently working on. That's perfect. I think maybe we can do the same for others as well. Like Annie, do you want to share a little bit more about yourself, your role, and also what projects that you are currently working on at We?
Yeah, I'm an account executive. I'm working in the tech sector, so I work on a few different clients that kind of span various industries, but all generally technology. Intel, other semiconductor companies. And what projects am I working on? Trying to remember what I'm allowed to say. Working on a standards launch for one of my clients. So just starting to work through the messaging and our media strategy for that. I think that's the big one that's top of mind for me right now.
Cool. Thank you, Annie. Hillary, how about you?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you all. Thanks for attending this. I'm Hillary. I am a project manager currently in the sector called DXTIA, which is an acronym for Design Experience Technology Insights and Analytics. So it is very long, very wordy. But I oversee a lot of integrated campaigns. The neat thing about We is that a lot of the sectors overlap in many of the ways. So right now I sit on teams that are currently fall under the health sector and the corporate brand purpose and reputations, but the clients have needs that match what services my sector provides. So, for instance, I am on Amgen, which is a pharmaceutical company handling rare diseases, and we do marketing campaigns on their social, as well as working with creators and influencers who also have the disease or something like it. And on the corporate brand purpose and reputation, I work with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation doing executive communication initiatives. And it's been really rewarding to be on both those teams because that was what showed or stood out to me with We is that they care about their clients who are doing really important things as well as you as a person, and they want to invest in you, like the values that resonated with me, the benefits around it. So yeah, I've been a how I got here was through this panel 3 years ago, and I got lucky to find my place at We.
Thank you, Hillary. Thank you for coming back. Kelly.
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly. I'm an assistant account executive at We. I also am in the tech sector like Annie. I work on a lot of semiconductor and enterprise technology accounts. Well, when I first got to ComLead, I was working on a podcast for one of the alums. And then I attended a First Friday and got an internship from one of the recruiters. Stayed in touch during it wasn't quite internship season quite yet, but then I stayed in touch till the applications opened. And then I wound up interning and becoming a AAE like right now. Projects I'm working on. I have a lot of like research to do for client executives so that they're informed going into their meetings with media. I'm like Annie, I'm trying to think what I can talk about, what we're allowed to say. Yeah, so that like includes a lot of opportunities from podcasts, newsletters, general like news. But yeah, it's great to be here. Nice to see everybody.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So now I will probably turn it over to Suna. You have been working for over 6 years at Way. And from your perspective, what emerging industry trends that you see at large communication agencies like Way? So also from like a hiring perspective, how can students prepare themselves to stand out among the new graduates?
That is a great question. And I will say that this is going to come as no surprise to anyone attending this call, but AI is a huge differentiator. And being comfortable with AI as opposed to like, yeah, I heard about this, but to actually be able to point to problems that you solved and using a variety of AI products will I mean it's probably kind of expected, but it would be what we would be looking for, and not just oh, I've used it mid-journey and made some cool things, but think about how you've been able to use AI for, say, analytics or for crafting pitches or research, and being able to prove what you've used and done. That's a differentiator personally for you. And that is the climate being what it is right now. It's whatever you can do to differentiate yourself will be best. It's very hard to predict the future, obviously, at any time. I think especially now with the way things are kind of moving around in this country. So it's best to be able to be really solid about what you can bring to the table and being very confident about that. So I'm answering your second question first.
Yes.
A
I think
little
you
bit.
answer both. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Students feel the same. We're adding some AI classes in our curriculum as well. Yeah.
That's a great idea. Yeah, getting really, really comfortable with the tools, being able to, but also being able to prove some of the work that you've done. That would make me as a hiring manager be interested in you. And I
Cool.
would like to see the work. And I do hire, so that is something that would be helpful for me. I would be looking for it.
Awesome. Thank you,
Yeah.
Suna.
Mhm.
Hillary, would love to hear your story with We, because you mentioned about you get your job through our info session before. So can you share more about how did you let your current role at We, especially if you can walk us through the recruitment process and interview experience that you have, that will be very valuable for our students as well.
Of course, yeah. So transparently, some background on me. I came to Comly because I wanted to scale the size of agencies. As we mentioned, we is a large global agency, and before I joined Comly, I was working at smaller boutique agencies that had smaller clients that are primarily in the Seattle area. And so when I came to ComLead and came to this first Friday with I was looking for a position that matched my skill set. I think, values people first. We have a whole people first view of how we care about people. We care about their skills and what they like, what are they like outside of work, what are they like in work, and what roles fit that person's skills. So as our TA was mentioning, they may not have something that completely aligns with you first, but they may have something else. So following this first Friday, I met with the TA, and she had three roles that she was currently hiring for. One was a account coordinator, account executive. One was a project coordinator on the global marketing team, and one was a project manager on this DXTIA team. And knowing my history, I felt DXTIA felt the most in line with what I was looking for. However, I did meet with the hiring managers for the global marketing role, and I declined the account executive role. So from that experience, after meeting the hiring manager, you have two rounds of interviews for at least my project manager role. I met with the team twice. One was a bit more skills based, where they're asking me more examples about work that I've done, how I managed tough situations, how I worked with certain teams, what we delivered, how timelines worked, how I saw budgets and tracked all those things. Because in a project manager role, you're mainly there to make sure everything comes in on time, on budget, and looks good. So that's kind of the bare bones of it. So walking them through a lot of those different scenarios. And then they wanted to hire my position quickly. They had a lot of demand at that time. So I was hired, and I think the whole process took about a month because the panel was in November, and then I started mid-December. So that's about it.
That's really a quick, yeah, process.
Yeah.
Same for Kelly and Annie. You both have a little bit similar experience because both of you started at Way as an intern, and then transit into a full-time role. So curious about like how did you secure this internship opportunity? Because Suna mentioned about a Way's internship program as well. And what was your internship experience like? And how did it turn it into a full-time position? Annie.
Yeah, I attended. It wasn't sorry, there's a cat coming on the call. I attended, I don't think it was a first Friday, but it was sort of an info session about the internship that was led by the former GM of the Bellevue office, Matt Ashworth, who is fantastic. He's still working there, just in a different role. And it just was really about, I was really struck by, it was kind of right during COVID, like really in the thick of it. And Matt had shared some statistics about how we was able to um, not have to let anyone go during the pandemic and was really able to support everyone. And I thought that sounded great. Like Hillary said, it's a very people first, excuse me.
At first.
Yeah, people first, cat first agency. So I applied very shortly thereafter. I only did one interview with the one of the internship coordinators, Barrett, who is based in New York now, I think. Um, and then I was immediately placed working into the tech sector on a variety of clients. Um, I think generally the expectation is if you are doing well in your role and you're fitting in with the agency, that it will turn into full-time employment. They place you where you're needed. Of course, it's not always a fit for everyone, but it was a fit for me, and I really liked the work. So, was offered full-time employment at the end of my internship period, which is about 3 months.
Cool. Yeah, that is good experience. Kelly.
Yeah, so very similar in the interview process. Also interviewed with Barrett and Kimber at the agency as well. Yeah, the person who was recruiting at We at the time had referred me to them to reach out. So I had actually connected with them in a one-on-one prior to the interview, which if you have the opportunity, I would definitely recommend. They kind of eased me into the interview process because I was really nervous. My original background is in graphic design and not PR, so I was kind of like a little bit of imposter syndrome, but it all worked out. And a lot of people that we take different career journeys to get to the point that they are in PR, which I found really fascinating. I think the main thing with the internship was there was a lot of information coming in fast, but like as long as you can prove you can manage that, it's usually all right. And the manager that you get assigned to, it's like your connection with your manager is really important, and it's important that you're like over communicating with them. Um, but yeah, I have had some really good managers so far, so it's
So
been
how
a
was your internship experience like? Like, what did you do? Like, what a typical day look like for that?
So I started with the tech sector and immediately was diving into briefing documents for client executives as they were prepping for interviews on like Bloomberg and like, all these networks that felt really big at the time. But yeah, so I was doing that, pulling a lot of research on what the media landscape looks like, things like that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, because a lot of our students are looking for summer internship, yeah, as well. So that would be a good learning experience for them. So my last question for all of you would be like, what advice would you give to our students if they want to stand out from candidates? Maybe you can share one or two tips that will really support it. Any?
I think having a point of view or an opinion on the news landscape, the general media landscape. I think it's not enough to just to be immersed in it, and up to date on the news, but to have an idea and an opinion of your own on what you're seeing as trends, um, regardless of like kind of what niche of news you're reading into or interested in.
Cool. That's good advice. Hillary or Kelly? Yeah.
I'd say have a genuine interest in the area that you're interning in, if you do get an internship, or in PR in general. I think PR is a very unique field where an agency like we covers a lot. So if you're into philanthropies or healthcare or tech, there's a place for you. But also like no figureheads. We're doing a lot of executive communication right now. So be following thought leaders and creators. Those are two big areas that we're seeing a lot of growth in at our agency. So the more you have thoughts and opinions, people that you reference in that fall into the areas I mentioned, the more knowledgeable you'll be coming to we.
Cool. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I think demonstrating an ability to think on the fly and provide thoughtful insights, which is something I think Calmly definitely like utilizes and prepped me for. I think it's highly valued to be able to just do quick turnarounds at We just because there's so many accounts, and if you're able to step in, prove that you can like learn on the fly about something like maybe you haven't had experience with, but can quickly read up and brush up on about, it'll separate you from other candidates for sure.
Good point. Final advice from or tip from Suna. Yeah. Oh, I think so. Yeah.
I echo everything that Hillary, Kelly, and Annie have said. And as a hiring manager, I'm really interested in people who really can do and who are I don't want to say easy to work with. That's not actually accurate because it's more like that they're able to articulate how they're able to work well with people. It's a very important job to be able to communicate. We're a communications firm. And so being able to explain who you are and what you do and and your point of view is very important. And as I was saying, it is a question I've seen asked many times is like, what's your favorite news source? In a lot of meetings. So having that in your back pocket and be able to explain, I follow X and Y, and this is why, is I think a really good one to have ready for any sort of interviews that you have. You may not be asked that, but for this type of work, for a communications firm, you've got to show, as was already previously said, you got to show that you understand what's happening in the landscape and in the industry.
That's really nice. Yeah. Thank you, Suna. That's a very practical advice to tell students what to do, especially during an interview. Thank you. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's session.